So there are two reasons why I'm giving this class today. This class has so many names to it. I've given this class many times in many different places, and every time some other person, usually it's a woman, at the end of the class develops a new name that I advertise it with. A lot of times the last woman that told me was a cool name was, what would men do with that woman? So we use that. Sometimes it's the role of men and women simply. But anyways, there are two reasons why I'm going to give this class tonight. Firstly, last time I was here, about a few weeks right before Pesach, we spoke about free will and how the concept of free will applies to us, how we live within free will, and we all established that every person, by living the best capability they could be, living the best who they could be, is the experience of God. To see God, to experience God is living who you could actually be the color that you were made to be. So one woman, I forgot who it was, so I'm ruling out all the guys. There was one woman here that asked a phenomenal question, and she asked me, how does one know what your role is? How do you know what color are you to live by? So I said that I should come back again and give a different class on this subject, because it's really a class in itself. So that's why I'm here today. Secondly, it's very important to know the role that one must play to have emunah, because I said this last time. Emunah, the word emunah comes from the word uman. Uman means to work. It means to say that we don't look at God as just a figure of speech, something out there. Our job is somehow to live with God, live in this world with God. That's our job. So we have to first figure ourselves out before we can experience God. We first must find our path in life. Once you find your path in life, then we can experience what God is. So this is why I think it's a prerequisite more to emunah than emunah itself. But it's definitely very important to know. Now, it's very hard to speak about each specific path because every one of us grew up differently. Every one of us have different paths in life, and everyone has a different circle of life. So it's very hard to say that this is your color, this is my color. So what I like to do is I like to give a general idea. A general idea where one could, work with, but of course it's very important that every single person has their Rebbe, has their mentor, someone they can speak with, because every individual has their own personality, that they can relate with God themselves. But again, tonight we're going to speak more of a general term, just to lay out a foundation, a board, a crossboard that we could really get a picture of. And the best thing to talk about once we're doing that is men and women. You can't get more general than that. So we have men and women. So the question I want to start off with, it's going to be more of a philosophical, Kabbalistic approach, but what I want to start off with is simple questions, just obvious questions that we have to address. Number one, why did God have to create men and women? In fact, the Torah tells us that originally God created man and woman as one being, and only then did He separate them. Only once later did others feel that being, so to speak, felt alone, did God separate them into male and female. So it was important that male and female should exist for what reason. So why didn't God create that in the first place? Well, God doesn't know. Why did God have to create one being and then split? Just create it split already. And then just to ask a simple question, so why did there have to be two beings? If one will tell me, well, it's important, it's proven in society that someone that's born to a family with a mother and a father, it's much higher level statistics prove that you'll be brought up in a higher standard versus sadly you have cases where there are single parents. Even though that's, of course, hopefully there'll be many cases that make it, majority hopefully. But bottom line, everyone will agree that the best case scenario is where you have both parents together. So the question I have for you is, so you're telling me the reason for there should be a man and a woman is to have children. So why can't God just create like we're amoebas? Amoebas just self-reproduce. Why can we self-reproduce? Why can't God say, He could create the whole world? He could say, when I feel this being is ready to care, to give towards a child, He'll give them birth himself. They'll be their own being. Why it must be that there should be two beings called man and woman? What does man and woman, male and female, help to create a better environment for the perfection of the world and the experience of God amongst us? These are just simple questions that we have to ask ourselves. So in truth, think about it deeply, it's impossible for any human being to perfect themselves. And this is going to be a true scenario for every one of us. After 120, we're going to die. And we're going to go to God. We're going to tell God, I tried my hardest. I fulfilled every mitzvah. Whatever you told me, I listened. And God's going to say, listen, I'm very proud of you. You did everything I told you. I love you. And you're ready for your opening gate to the world to come, to the Garden of Eden. Finally, that hard work is paying off. And God tells you, but I can only give you 50% of the reward. 50% of the reward. Because you only fulfill 50% of your potential. Only 50% of your potential. And the idea is, because it's impossible for any one of us to fulfill a full 100%. The max that we could obtain is only 50%. Why? Because in life, either you got it or you don't got it. For example, you could be born wealthy. I mean, you could be wealthy, and you have a wealthy person's test. Will I give? Will I give to others? Will I help others become like me? Will I use my power to influence good in the world? Will I maintain my wealth in a proper way? On the other hand, you have a poor person, and he has a totally different test. Will I work hard to become successful? Or will I give up? Will I fight against the current of life? Or I will persevere? And the same idea, you have a smart person and a less smart person. A smart person that's, born with a high IQ, gets everything the first time. So the test to him is, will he use his knowledge to help others? Will he maintain his scores and not go out for the party? Will he actually fulfill his purpose in life? To bring that beauty, what God gave him within him, that talent that God gave him, will he actually bring it out? And then on the other hand, you have someone who's that wasn't born with that high IQ. And the question to him is totally the opposite test. Will I work hard for my grades, or will I give up? Again, every test and every person, it's either you got it or you don't got it. And if you got it, the question is, are you going to maintain it? And if you don't got it, am I going to achieve it? Am I going to fight for it? There's a million cases, and everyone, if you really think about it, you can always somehow split it in half and put one on one side and on the other side. A classic example to this is the Talmud talks about is the Baal Tshuva versus the FFB, the Tzad Gomer. The real side, now, it could be practical, it's not possible, but theoretically it's definitely possible. Imagine a person that never sinned, never once tasted sin. And you compare him to someone that grew up secular, and now his job is to become religious, and he finds his way. He finally finds his way. So the question is, who's greater? Who worked hard? So the Baal Tshuva will tell me, he would say, hey, I worked hard. You don't know what it means to grow up in a society where I gave up everything in my society. I don't have any relation with my parents anymore. My children don't even talk to me. I lost my job. I give everything up for Hashem. You, Tzaddik Gomer, you grew up in that society. It was given to you. You still talk to your parents and your grandparents, you raise your children, beautiful. You walk them down to the chuppah. How can you even compare yourself to them? And Tzaddik Gomer is going to tell him back, are you out of your mind? You have a hard test. You know what my test is? I don't even know what a cheeseburger tastes like. I don't know what the term means, what stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I want to know what that means. You've been there and you saw that it's all fake. You lived through it and saw reality that doesn't bring you happiness, and therefore you turned over. But I don't know if that's true. I want to experience it. And every day I have to go outside and fight against the current and say, no, I'm not going to turn that cheek. I'm going to go the way I was brought up to be. And even though everyone is telling me, and all the media and all the news and all the gossip out there is going to tell me to go that way, I'm going to say no. I'm going to stay the way that my father taught me to stay. It's a very hard test. Who's greater? The answer is no. Each one is only 50% of the puzzle. Each one is only half of what could be. And that analogy to this would be two people. Oh, we have college kids here. We could appreciate this. You're taking a test. We have one semester. And one person scores 100. One person scores 100. On the other hand, another person scores a 0. Total failure. So the next semester, what is the job of the person that scored 100? Her job is to maintain. Her job is to maintain. Maintain the grade. Will I now join a fraternity? Will I now start lacking in my books and I will start partying with my friends? Will I know? I will still say no to all of that outside, and I will still remain harder to my books, and I will succeed in getting my 100 for the next semester. And the one that got to 0 has to have a wake-up call and say, listen, this can't last too long. I have to grow. I have to achieve. Am I going to continue to party or I'm going to give all that up? The bottom line is either you're one of two things. Either you're maintaining the rule of maintenance, or on the other hand, you're achieving the rule of achievement. Either you're growing from 0 to 100, or you're at 100 and you have to maintain who you are. So this is where you have male and female. Now who is who? Who is male and who is female? Who is maintenance, who is achievement? So usually a lot of times I would give it to the crowd to fight over. That causes a lot of shalom bias. So I want to skip all that. So I'll give the answers. And I'll prove to you why I'm right. I'll prove to you from a Torah perspective, and I'll prove to you from a scientific, logical perspective. The one that has to achieve and is born from garbage, from Afar, is a man. A man's born from earth, right? Afar, he's born from earth, he returns to earth. He's born at 0. And a man's job is to achieve, He has to grow, and every time he does a mitzvah is another rung of that ladder. A woman, on the other hand, gets a blessing every single morning. I'm made in the likeness of God. She was born already at 100. A woman is already in touch with her physics. She understands to be caring and giving. She's emotional. She's very intact with her neshama. A man has to rip all those screws off. A woman's job is to maintain. And I'll show you phenomenal how this all works. First, in a Torah perspective, there are 3 mitzvahs, or let's say 2 mitzvahs in one category of the mitzvah that a woman has. She has to be tahar, pure, right? Tahara. That's a mitzvah given to the women. A mitzvah called tzniut, modesty. Right, modesty. What are these 2 things? Let's see the common denominator between these 2 things. What is pure? Pure is white, never been stained, fluffy, soft. It's pure. Purity says I'm holy because I never sinned. I remain pure. Tznius is another fashion of this. It's why I just say that I'm loyal. I don't need anyone else's opinion on me. I will remain my dignity. I will not fall to the outside world. I will not fall to the temptations of life. I will remain dignified as a queen should be. You never see Queen Elizabeth walk out without her gloves. Because she's royal. I'm not saying women should wear gloves now. But women should be royal. You have to maintain. Another interesting idea. A category of mitzvahs that women are not obligated in. Called mitzvahs shezman grumble. Mitzvahs that are time-bound. Think about it. Why are mitzvahs time-bound? Or because we're putting women into second class? Is this a whole other topic of feminism? The idea is, the reason why women are not time-bound mitzvahs is because the definition of time means change. Time is relative. We don't want women to change. We want women to maintain and remain the same way that they were born. The same way that the father kissed them the first time and said, "You're my princess." It's the same way when the husband kisses his wife for the first time and says, "You are my princess." We don't want them to change. A man, on the other hand, has kedusha. He has to sanctify himself. Make something of himself. When I was in yeshiva in Lakewood, you would go to the oldest building, the Beis Medrash called the Yashim. It's called the old building, the main building. And you would find books from the first time that they opened, 60 years ago. And these books were able to bend in half. They were so soft. You were able to open them up. They were yellow. They smelled like sweat and fire. They smelled like hard work. That's kedusha. Kedusha is when you change yourself, when you fight. That's kedusha. A Beis Medrash is kedusha. This is why we mikadesh this mind. Every holiday, every Shabbos, we mikadesh, we sanctify the time. Because sanctifying is changing the time. If we change ourselves to have better. This is why men have to sanctify the time. This is why men have to do mitzvahs. Women are beyond this. They're born there. They're born close to Hashem. Now, culturally and scientifically, it also works very well. I'll give you 3 reasons, 3 simple ideas, something we can think about. Let me start with the most simple one. The word potential. I could go to one of my friends here, and I could say, "You're a great guy. Can I use you as a dummy?" Josh, you're a great guy. Thank you. No, he's easier because he's going to yeshiva, so I want to get it. You mind? You're gonna. You're a great guy. I got to know you for the past couple weeks. I learned a lot from you. And I see you're gonna steig a lot in Eretz Yisrael. You have a lot of potential. I see you're gonna really make it out of yourself. Do you like what I just told you? That made you feel good?
Sure.
That made you feel good, right? If I tell any guy, makes them feel good.